Welcome, readers. Today on Book Chat, we are continuing the 3 Book Bloggers, 1 Series Read-Along. We're discussing the 4th book in the Night Huntress series, Destined for an Early Grave by Janine Frost. Stay tuned. Today's episode is brought to you by the Shelf Addiction merch store. Check out all the bookish t-shirts, notebooks, mugs, and more. Don't miss out on these original designs, perfect for any book nerd. Support the podcast and visit shelfaddiction.com/merch and pick up your next favorite bookish item. Hey everyone, I'm your host, Tamara Ford, and welcome to Book Chat here on the Shelf Addiction Podcast. Participate in this book discussion by joining the Facebook group Shelf Addiction Official. Talk about the series with us there as well as other bookish topics. I hope to hear your thoughts on this book discussion, and as always, you can find the 3 of us on Twitter and Instagram. The links for everything I've mentioned are below in the show notes. If you enjoyed today's episode, please support this podcast by sharing it with some book nerd friends or on your favorite social media space. That will really help me out, and I appreciate you for doing so. The uncut video version of this podcast is available now on Patreon. Join us there for exclusive videos, including this podcast after show, where we get even more candid with our opinions. So if you're at all interested in that, you'll need to come on over to Patreon and sign up. Before we get started, I have to issue a spoiler warning. This is a roundtable book discussion, so nothing is off limits. You've been warned. We've got a fun hour ahead of us, so let's get started. Joining me, as always, are my 3 Book Bloggers, 1 Series Read-Along co-host, Casey and Nicola. Welcome back, ladies.
Hello.
Hello.
So before we get going, Nicola, why don't you start us off with the book stats?
Okay. The print length on this one is 399 pages, just under 400, published by HarperCollins. It was originally published on July 15th, 2009. HarperCollins, yep. That's, I did not pull up the audiobook, so I'm not sure how long that is.
Well, the audiobook is narrated by Tavia Gilbert, and I believe the runtime is about 9 hours, so it might be 8 and something, if I remember correctly.
All right.
And Casey, why don't you run down the synopsis for us?
All right. Hold the book up. Mm-hmm. Her deadly dreams leave her in grave danger. Since half-vampire Kat Caulfield and her undead lover Bones met 6 years ago, they fought against the rogue undead, battled a vengeful master vampire, and pledged their devotion with a blood bond. Now it's time for a vacation, but their hopes for a perfect Paris holiday are dashed when Kat awakes one night in terror. She's having visions of a vampire named Gregor, who's more powerful than Bones and has ties to her past that even Kat herself doesn't know about. Gregor believes Kat is his, and he won't stop until he has her. As the battle begins between the vamp who haunts her nightmares and the one who holds her heart, only Kat can break Gregor's hold over her. She'll need all the power she can summon in order to bring down the baddest bloodsucker she's ever faced, even if getting that power will result in an early grave. Bum, bum, bum.
And of course, for those of you interested in today's after show, it's available on Patreon right now. We are going to jump into that after this, and we are going to talk about series spoilers, everyday stuff, and whatever else comes to mind. So if you are not on Patreon, get on there right now so you don't miss out. So let's jump into this thing. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Okay, so when I started this book, I'm like, oh my God, that's right. This book, I was very angry about this book, although I enjoyed it immensely. But I kept thinking about like all the bad stuff happening throughout this book. It was like unnerving a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you want to keep going, or do you want us to jump in?
You guys go ahead and jump in because I don't want to just take over. You go.
I just remind everybody this is a reread for all of us. So
yes. Yes.
So, except I don't retain a lot, so it's almost like reading it the first time for me. Except I know that they're all going to survive at the end because there's more books.
Right.
So that. I'm never really worried that they're not going to survive the big final conflict at the end of the book because I know that there's another book. But yeah, I think the creepiest part of this one was, back to that theme of human, or the worst of the monsters. How do we put it? So the thing that was the worst about this was how predatory Gregor was to the young cat when she was 15, and how he groomed her, and it was just very creepy behavior, which is not limited to vampires, right? He acted like any kind of pedophile, and he was very controlling, and he like rewarded her when she went along with him, but was very punitive when she had any kind of disagreement with him, and it really creeped me out. So, and after the whole Me Too thing, I've just become a little bit more aware of that kind of behavior, and in a way that I might not have been the first time I read it.
Yeah, I mean, so there were a few things like you said, he was, I guess punitive was a nice way to say it, but he was like basically an asshole who was trying to manipulate her using her feelings. Like, okay, so this is what we're doing. You don't like what I'm saying? Then I'm not going to speak to you. You're an idiot. You're a child. Why did I even bring you here? I'm trying to save your life. Are you stupid? All these things. And I'm just like, just kill him, somebody.
Yeah.
I was very triggered by the whole thing, even though I never have experienced this type of this situation myself. I was very enraged reading
on her behalf. Yeah.
Yes, on her behalf, on like the flashbacks and stuff when she's dreaming about him, and
when she relived the whole thing after her memories were returned, it was very disturbing.
It was.
I wanted her to just twist that sword or that dagger right then. Like, okay, you were a fucking pedophile. Kill you. Go back to Bones. Everything's done.
Yeah, there would have been a much shorter book.
Yes, it would have been, but that's what she needed to do in that moment.
I think that that would have made me happy. Then we could have a fight with Lucius or somebody that was mad about it.
Yeah. Have other fights. Have the ghoul thing happen faster, but.
Yeah, I just couldn't take it. I'm like, he is like the worst character so far to me. He is worse than her own daddy. I mean, yes, he did try to kill her, but this is worse to me, I feel like.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm like, you stole this girl as a child, lied or basically manipulated her parents with your green eyes, or her mother, you stole her away, made her think that Bones was trying to kill her and make her turn her into like a prostitute and all kind of crazy shit.
Not exactly wrong.
Well, not exactly wrong, but not exactly right either.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, it's all, and it just amazes me how these things come back to Mankiris. I'm like, oh my God. Oh, shut your mouth, man. Don't tell people the future. What is wrong with you?
Well, he didn't.
Well, I felt like, I thought that he kidnapped him because he saw the future, or he took him.
Somehow Gregor saw the future too. That wasn't really explained, but he saw the future, and so he went after a cat to like change the future. And Mankiris was like, "You can't do this."
Right.
So even though I saw the future too,
known because he wanted her before. I mean, unless I missed how he found out about cats.
No, Gregor has had future visions too. So that was one of his powers. And so they both saw her using pyro, using fire, and they both wanted that power for themselves. So so Mankiris actually kind of went against vampire law there, right? So which is interesting because there's nothing in the vampire world that prevents them from just doing whatever they want to humans, which
There's really not.
So it's I don't know how I feel about that. So
at that point, because what's his face, Gregor saw, I guess, that she controlled fire, but he didn't really know much else other than she would be involved with Bones in some kind of way. but nothing else.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess he knew about Bones too.
Because he was constantly saying Bones is the bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to get you. And she'd be like, I don't want to go.
Yeah.
Like, I just think of that manipulation. Like I'm not even going to lie. Like, so my sister, when, side note, when her kids were really young and they would act a fool, she would say, I'm going to drop you off at the fire station. And they would be like, I don't want to go. And she had no intention of doing that, but it worked.
Of course not.
Calm themselves down. But I feel like he was trying to run that game. He's coming to get you. He's the boogeyman.
Yeah.
And she'd be like, no, I don't want to.
Well, for sure. For sure.
Well, that's absolutely what he was doing. Absolutely.
I used to tell my friends that I keep calling 1-800-GYPSIES, but they won't pick up. I realize it's not too polite these days. But, I never said it to my children, though. I said it to me.
Yeah. Well, that's good, at least. I don't know. But yeah, this guy Gregor was the worst. And it just it just went on for the whole freaking book, like off and on the whole entire book, which was kind of draining to me. Just because I was so over that character and I was so over Kat, like still again. So every time she takes one step forward as far as her
trust.
Yes, that and being mature and like, let me talk things out before I do things. She takes 2 steps back and she's doing crazy shit. Like
she does a backflip backwards. Like, 2 steps. She does a fucking backflip to get away from that.
Yeah, and I actually felt bad for Bones, but I'm well, you could have told her too, but he didn't want her to tell him, like inadvertently tell him. But it's like, oh man, their relationship almost broke up because of her. Him
too, but they have communication issues.
Yeah. Like, I did like how they resolved it, the sort of makeup scene there where they're like, we're not going to change. Like, I'm always going to want you to sit back. You're never going to sit back. I'm always going to jump in and do these dangerous things. And we both, and we just have to like live with that with each other. So, I did like how they kind of came to that reality and talked about it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was good, but it just seemed like too crazy to me. I'm like, this girl is stupid. What the fuck, man?
I'm like, you have to you have to keep increasing the stakes.
I was so angry with Kat for some of that book. I'm like, what are you doing?
I really wasn't like, when she went to Gregor voluntarily. I thought that was completely in character. I thought that was what most of us would do if we saw the people that we cared about against overwhelming odds and we knew we could stop it.
But then when you think about, I think it was Vlad she was talking to, of course, the guy she always, come help me, friend. Help me out. They're kind of talking about, well, why would you think that they were in trouble? I mean, he so plainly ran down what was actually going on. And she's sitting there like, oh my God. Like,
because she doesn't always think things through.
She just doesn't. She just acts. She doesn't think.
Which is why I thought it was so stupid that she didn't kill Gregor in that moment. Like, if she's gone, killed Gregor, and then gone back to Bones, like, everything would have been okay. But she doesn't think. She's like, oh, I cared about you when I was 16, even though you're obviously manipulating me, but I cared about you, so I'm not going to kill you. I was like, no, honey, no.
I mean, in my opinion, he's a child rapist too. I feel like
absolutely.
Like, what are you kidding me right now? Like, that's awful. He deserved all the stabs and things being cut off.
And it was so hypocritical of her to get upset at Bones for sleeping with the ghoul. What's her name? Liza? She was 17, but she looked so much younger, and Kat was like about to gut Bones over that. And then, her own memories of being 15 and having this several centuries.
I don't think that's hypocritical. That could just be a trigger, but
could be, but no, she should have killed him over it. She just should have killed him.
I agree with Casey. As soon as she got her memories back and she opened her eyes, I feel like,
yeah, no, she should have killed Gregor, not Bones. Killed
I was gonna
Gregor.
say.
Right, as soon as I woke up and I remembered everything, man, I would have been stabbing him until he died.
Yep.
No conversation. We're not talking.
You don't deserve to talk.
Right. But that's just me. I know.
Well, so how many of these books start out with her like dagger in the bad guy's heart, and then she's like, "Oh, okay, you got another chance."
Well, that happened with Ian,
right?
Yeah. And we turned out mostly now. Okay.
We like Ian now, but we didn't Ben, and he did cause a lot of trouble in that book.
He wasn't a child rapist.
He wasn't.
So
true.
Yes.
True.
Like I just can't. I don't know. And
Your face, Tamara. If you guys are not watching this, you should.
And I can't even help it. It's like I try to control my face and I can't. And that's probably why I do podcasts so much. But, you want to see the secrets of what I'm really thinking.
Yeah, the eye rolls. Oh my God.
I know, it's so bad. But I mean, that's how I was feeling. I was feeling it like when I was, going through this book, I was having these emotions. I was speaking out loud, like, what the hell is wrong with you? What is happening? Oh, that's disgusting. I mean, I was saying audibly.
Yep.
I will say that one of the things that I think was a holdover or a hangover from the first time I read it and going through the second, like I couldn't quite figure out that the female sidekick that Gregor had, like I was just assuming that she was a supernatural, right? And she was a human that was hanging on with the hope of being converted. But I guess my brain remembered that, here's the spoiler, that she wasn't, so I guess it should have taken me by surprise when she showed up again, but it didn't, right? I think that was probably because I had read it before. What did you guys think about that when she came back as a ghoul? What was her name? Whatever.
Canal,
yeah.
It was Canal. Honestly, I had wholeheartedly forgotten about that character altogether. And then when I'm like, oh yeah, this witch is back, I forgot. And that's how all of this goes. Every book, I'm like, oh yeah. After I read it, I'm like, oh yeah.
I thought it was a little bit of a stretch that they claimed that Ian's 2 drops of blood to heal her hand was what helped her turn into a ghoul. Because they did that with
Dave.
Not Cooper, but Dave. Yes, thank you, Dave.
But she was drinking.
But he had an entire vampire, and he was dead for 3 months.
Well, she was drinking more than that. She was drinking Gregor's blood to stay young.
Oh, that's true.
So she had a steady diet of blood.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. And it wasn't a month, right? It was.
Yeah, and it was a couple days. But yeah, no, Janine Frost has definitely pulled that trick a few times. So even though I was like, okay, fine, it's 2 drops of Ian's blood. Yeah, no, she's coming back.
Yeah, Kat, you should have beheaded her. You knew better. And so
Kat definitely knew better.
So did Dawn. They were distracted. They were busy.
Busy running away from emotions and being silly.
Right.
Come on, Kat. Although, to be fair, I really love Vlad. And I thought it was so sweet that he was like, I just want a friend. And I was like, oh,
yeah,
best friends.
Yeah.
Just cuddle platonically.
Just get out of my bed. Thank you very much. It's not a sleepover, dude. Get out.
When she came to and had his, was drinking from him, and he's like, okay, what was that about? I just love how calm he is about everything. He's just like, all right, that was weird. What's going on? And he doesn't ever seem like he gets ruffled. I love that about him.
Yeah.
I need to go back and read his books.
We should do a spin-off series.
Oh
Reed.
gosh, I feel like I just finished those books. I did literally just finish those books. So I don't know. I like Vlad. He's a different kind of guy, but I like him. He definitely is really her friend. Like, he is like, I don't care about you, Bones. I don't like you. But you know, I'm gonna look out for Cat here because we understand each other. So basically, you don't want to go with him, you can come with me. It's fine. I got your back. He always is gonna, like, you know.
What did you think of that moment where Bones told her that if it came down to his people or her, that Vlad would leave her behind?
I think that might be a possibility.
Yeah, I thought so
because
too.
the only person he makes that exception for is Layla. And we know this because if you've read those books, if you haven't, then, you know,
spoilers.
Spoilers.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
My bad. Anyway.
Not like page 1 of book 1. Like,
so
yeah, no,
ago.
it's
yeah. But I do think that, I mean, he will sacrifice you and he won't be happy about it.
Right.
But he'll do it.
I think he might have offered her the option to turn into, like, have him turn her into a vampire.
Oh, for sure.
So then she would have been under his line, so he could protect her.
He would have.
But that would have been like a last minute. He would have told her, like, go for Bones first, kind of thing. But I don't think he would have just, like, thrown her out instantly.
No, but he's also smart enough to know that if he turned her, it would be hell. He would have a lot to deal with because, as Bones said, I mean, I will kill anybody that turns you. You understand me? He's like, let's get this straight.
because then there's that conflict between their blood bond and the sire or whatever. So I don't know. I don't know who wins in that case, especially if it happens in that order, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't know.
But she would have Vlad turn him. If Bones said no, she was going to run off to her buddy. Vlad, help me.
And we got a glimpse of the heroine, didn't we, for Ian's book?
Yep. This is her first appearance.
We did, and I was like, oh, Veritas.
They didn't give her a name in this book. But,
yes, but that's her name. It's Veritas, which you can read in the synopsis. But yeah, I didn't realize that. I think the first time around, obviously, because I hadn't read the books like in that order at that time. So I didn't connect the two until this time.
Oh, and I don't know that it was even planned to be, right?
Probably not. I don't know.
Yeah.
That would be
a lot of years between. This was 2009, and then Ian's book, Where They Get Together, just came out this year, right?
No.
2018.
It was like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
18 or 19. Like, Ian has 2 books out now.
Right.
The most recent one just came out in January, but the first one was out for at least a year or 2 beforehand.
And she showed up in that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
They have a moment at the end of Vlad's 4th book where it's set up so you know that she'll be in Ian's books. So I think it was planned later down the line, but I don't think Janine had that idea now when she wrote Destined for an Early Grave.
Right.
Yeah. But it is interesting to see Veritas in both of these series before we see her in the Ian trilogy or whatever. I think it's going to be a trilogy. Is it? I don't know.
It could be 4 idea.
Books. I don't know.
I don't feel like Janine Frost constrains herself to a specific number up front. So.
Well, she always said Cat and Bones would be 9 books and then ended up cutting it off at 7 because she couldn't stretch it out. So I remember that much. Yeah, no, it was supposed to be 9 books.
Well, look, I appreciate her doing what's right for the characters instead of trying to make that coin, because that is how books get bad or series get bad. Like, what are you doing? So stay true to the characters.
Yeah.
And it paid off for her because guess what? She's writing more books.
All right. We could have an epilogue book with the baby log, right? Because there's a
serious spoilers.
Stop.
Serious spoilers. Do that in the after show.
Okay, let's talk about that in the after show. Okay.
All right, fine. All you have to do is read the synopses.
I know. Just read the books, guys. Read the books, and then you can just join us in all this good stuff, and you won't feel like we've done something horrible. Sorry. So sorry, not sorry. So
sorry, not sorry.
Yeah. There was a lot going on.
Well,
in this
we had
book.
the Marie Laveau storyline,
which I loved when Kat met her.
Yeah.
She's like, because Bones is warning her that she so doesn't like anybody and she's hard to, I don't think this is going to work, but you go try. And then they have like this connection. And she's like, she gives her this farewell that's like complimentary. I'll make sure. Yeah, go in peace or something. And when she tells Bones is like, she said, what? Are you sure?
The best I ever got was
the best I ever got.
Don't die.
Right, don't die.
For the next 10 minutes.
I love that. Actually, I would love to see a story on her because I love that she killed her husband.
And calls all her lovers by his name.
Yes.
All right, you can be my lover, but you're going to have to go by this name.
Yes.
Like a pet, like a cat. I'm name all.
And if you cross me, you might end up under the porch or something like that. I just think it's great. I'm like, I love powerful women, but she's like not.
She's subtle.
Yes, exactly. I like it. I'm down for it.
Yeah, this is one of the few female characters that isn't awful. Right? So we've talked about that before. And most of the characters other than Kat are kind of horrible.
Well, Annette is slowly getting better.
True. True.
I still think she's bad. Slowly. I just think it's like her now, so you know what to expect.
Well, her loyalties have shifted. They include Kat now.
They do.
And I think since since Kat and Bones have been officially bonded, that Annette is falling in line. And she's always going to be kind of flirtatious. She's always going to be up for anything. She was in this book. She's like, really? How about now?
She's like, you ready to play for the other team? You ready? I'll jump into that sandwich. She's all about it.
Yeah. So she's like the female Juan, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So
see, that's why I think she hasn't really changed. I feel like you are correct. She does think of Kat as a part of them versus separate from them, or she doesn't have that jealousy of her anymore.
Yeah,
but she's still nasty Annette. I mean, come on, it's Annette. So you just know, that's just her. It just
feels more joking than serious. Yeah, but it's definitely just.
I don't think she's nasty. I think it was all about to me, it was all about that jealousy and that opposition and that I'll just wait you out and you'll be gone and I'll still be here kind of expectation that she doesn't have anymore. I feel like she would go to bat, and she has gone to bat for Kat, and so I think she's on the right side now. I think originally she was not, but I think they have an understanding. And
they do, especially since she knows Bones will kill her. So that's even more reason to get on the same page. Like, okay,
Kat could kill her too.
She could. She could.
Almost did.
Easily.
Almost did a couple times.
And it's almost funny. It's like a running joke that, is between them. I guess her constantly flirting and trying to get the lesbian action. But if Kat ever said yes, she'd do it.
Oh,
she's
yeah.
She'd do it.
Be right in there.
Like, whoop, girl. No.
I guess Liza is also a positive character, but she's kind of passive.
She's
just there,
quiet. Although they did mention Denise a couple times, even though she's not physically in the book, she got mentioned a couple times. I thought that was good. No, she was in the book. She showed up for 30 seconds.
Yeah, in Fort Worth with the bull at the bar.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
That's right. That is right. Oh, yeah, where they didn't have any money or something. They couldn't.
Yeah.
Funky. What's going on?
Bones was off talking to somebody, and Kat was kind of still grouchy about something.
Yeah, and I mean the way, like honestly, I'm not giving Bones a pass on his behavior either because I feel like Bones, he is that annoying guy sometimes. Like, why didn't you just? I don't know. He made some assumptions himself, which he should, have to own up to his part in this fiasco as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Even though
have communication issues.
Yeah, they don't know how to.
Either one of them will talk to each other. They both want to save each other, but they won't tell each other.
Right.
Which is like, I'm going to save you.
No matter
what.
Have
kind of an excuse in this one because he can't tell her stuff, or it can tip their hand because.
But he doesn't even say that.
True.
For the most part.
Say, trust me, because I've got to keep.
I've got your back, right?
I have a plan. I can't tell you, but I have a plan. You can watch it unfold. Like that would have been easy.
But I wonder if things still tip off Gregor, maybe.
Only if she fell asleep. Gregor couldn't find out anything unless she was asleep. So as soon as he locked her in the safe room, he could have been like, I have a plan. Watch it.
Stay here.
Don't fall asleep in the next 3 minutes and tell Gregor.
But instead, he's like, he rushes her in there like the world is ending.
Slams the door shut.
Right. And then
locks
she's
her
like,
in.
Oh shit.
Pisses her off.
Right. And she's instantly thinking he can't handle himself. It's like kind of again, like you really underestimate who you married. Like, do you know him at all? Like, do you really think
he's a master of a line?
Right. Why
he was a bounty hunter? Like, he knows his shit.
She thinks anyone can kill him, basically. And that was part of his problem. He's like, you don't give me any damn credit. You think I'm an idiot and you think I'm weak. That is rude.
Well, he did get almost killed in the last book. He was pretty dead. He was pretty dead.
Look, so close, but so far.
He is still alive.
I know, but barely.
Or dead.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. They got work to do on their relationship because
that's his superpower now.
Yeah. I love them together, but sometimes they're frustrating.
They need some therapy. So frustrating. They need therapy.
And like, if only it's like apart, they're amazing, but together they could be spectacular. If only if you guys could learn how to work together instead of like, it's like they're working against each other, trying to protect each other. They're working against their own best interest in the way that they do things instead of kind of like, and again, though, there was that one exception of the whole dream thing in this book, but even if there wasn't a dream thing, they'd still be doing the same hot garbage. Let's not get
Speaking of hot garbage, this
we're not even giving each other like little tidbits. Like,
I
have a plan. Can't tell you anything, but just trust me.
Yeah. Speaking of hot tidbits, this book has my favorite swear ever, I think. When Spade comes and finds her in the garbage house.
Oh.
Right?
The garbage house.
She's out cleaning up and she stinks. And he's like, Lucifer's hairy ballsack. What is going on? And I wish I could do it with the English accent, but I can't. but that is my favorite swear.
That was pretty
It's the best.
And it doesn't even have an F word in it. So
no. I mean, that was pretty gross. I mean, she's in this trash heap. And then when he takes her to go where Bones is, she's like, what the hell? We in the trash? And y'all like, not.
And she smells bad, and everybody's making fun of her because she smells
like
bad.
That was Bones' payback. Like, you want to act like this? Here, you go sit in the trash, girl.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it was for Justina too.
Well, bet because she deserved that.
Yeah.
Although, do we want to talk about her now?
We can. That was a pretty shocking turn of events. And I feel so bad about Rodney.
I cried. I honestly cried. I knew it was coming, but I was like, Rodney, run. Just run.
I know.
Don't do it.
Yeah. That was sad.
He could have.
Expect that. I didn't expect him to die in this book.
Yeah, that was.
I knew it was coming. I just couldn't remember which book it was. And then when they took her, I was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she just started getting her groove and stuff. And now she's like, So that kind of thing could, well, we can talk about what happened to her because now.
Yeah. Things are different.
Spoiler, guys. Don't say we didn't warn you. So now she has joined Team Vampire. She has joined the team.
Mm-hmm.
And,
and I've already tried to kill herself a few times.
Yes, because we all know how much she hates vampires, right? And now she is one of them.
Yep.
So it's going to be interesting to see what happens to her over time in her new state, I think.
Mm-hmm. So what happens to Olive Gregor? Do all of Gregor's people now belong to Bones and Menkira's? Or do they just kind of go down a level?
I don't know. They don't explain it.
Yeah.
They owe money for restitution, something. But they didn't say who the people would go to.
Right. All right. It must just go down a level, like to the first generation of people that he turned or something.
And how convenient.
I feel like this was talked about in other books.
Well, like what's her name? Marie Laveau Majestic was saying that if Gregor gets offed, then she's free, right? So she doesn't fall under, but he turned her, so there isn't anybody in between. So I don't know.
Who turned Gregor?
Good question.
We don't know.
We don't
think we know.
Because I feel like by how they use that whole parentage as far as turning people, then you would have to be turned over probably, or your line would go up one to whoever hired him.
Unless he had declared independence or whatever, Bones did.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, if somebody else has a claim on the mom, Justina.
Well, once they get their hands on her, they'll want to give her away. Here, Bones, it's your problem.
Here, Bones, take her back. I don't want her anymore.
Yeah. Well, they just kill her, right? So that's what they do with recalcitrant baby vampires.
Possibly.
Yeah. She's got to be the absolute worst baby vampire on the planet. She's already she doesn't want to be. So I guess they try to kill themselves, I guess.
Did you guys ever read a short story called The Ransom of Red Chief?
No.
It's old. It's old fashioned, but it's kind of like a Western. And the idea is that and it's got a lot of problematic content because it was written in the 40s, I think. But it's about these two kidnappers who kidnap a child. He's 6 or 7, and it's kind of a Western set thing. And the kid is intent on playing cowboys. He makes them call him Red Chief, and he's essentially such a brat that the kidnappers end up paying the parents to take him back.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind of,
I like that.
So it's kind of, and I've spoiled the ending for you, but it's so it's a famous book or a famous story about that.
Wow.
So I could kind of see Justina as a Red Chief.
What a piece of irony there. You end up having to pay the parents to take them back.
So it's if you've ever read Gift of the Magi at Christmas time, it's the same author. So he's kind of famous for these twist endings.
Okay. But I am hopeful for her. I feel like this will improve everyone's relationship overall, if I had to guess. Because then, she's
this is Justina we're talking about.
Well, Bones did have
be realistic.
Yeah. But Bones had some sort of surprise compassion for her, He's like, same thing happened to me. I didn't want to be turned.
Yeah.
Woke up just like you, and took me months to get over it. And
for Justina, it could be years. It could take her years to get over it. And I think vampires look at time in a different kind of way. So if you're stubborn, it could be years before you get over it. You have to deal with her ass like that for years. But I mean, she's gonna eat. She's not gonna starve herself and desecrate or whatever. She's gonna eat people or something.
Bagged blood.
Bagged blood.
They'll throw plasma bags in there with her.
Yeah. So,
speaking of eating, we haven't talked about Kat's specialness when she got. I mean, this is the book where she changes over, right?
That's right. She changed too. It's a big change, and we got a big surprise.
Yes,
her heart still beats.
Her heart still beats. And apparently, the plasma bags did not help her.
She was like, "I don't want that." She's
like, "It's disgusting. It's garbage, hot garbage." But let me have a sip of you. You smell real good, Mr. Vampire Man. A half-breed that turns into a vampire that drinks vampire blood. What an interesting...
And still has a heartbeat.
And has a heartbeat.
But only sometimes.
Sometimes.
It's like almost only when she gets riled up real hard or, something traumatic is happening.
That's something I can so picture in a movie or on the screen, that background heartbeat when she starts to get angry, just hear that bass start going, ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. I think that would be, there's a few scenes in the series that have really been strongly cinematic to me. And that was one of them.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I did feel bad for Kat because she goes, I couldn't be a normal human. I was a half-breed freak, and now I'm a vampire freak. Like, I cannot win.
What gets me, what I was thinking when I was reading this book is if everybody wants her because she's so unique and strange, why haven't some of these powerful vampires tried to recreate that, by having women ready and having baby vampires ready and trying for some, trying to make it happen. Because they're certainly amoral enough to do something like that. And they've probably got, women in their stables that would be okay with it wouldn't necessarily have to be non-consensual, but people like Cannell or I don't know, Annette before she was turned, the humans that they keep around for feeding from. That's like,
It's vampires when they are first turned are so unstable, for a better word.
Yeah.
Like they kill everything. They have no control, which is why I don't understand how Kat's father was like out in public and not killing everything in sight.
But see, this is the component I think that was missing from that. We don't, unless I missed it or I forgot it, I don't recall how old he was as a vampire. Was he a week old?
It was
I think he was like 2 days.
I thought it was 2 weeks.
I thought it was a couple days because they say like it takes a couple days for your body to kind of, fully go undead, but not much longer.
I remember it being 2 weeks, but I could be wrong.
So even if you're a 2-week-old vampire, that might be enough to control the cravings, because I remember when what's his face changed, Tate changed. That was he got under control pretty quickly, considering. But maybe there's still some bodily fluids floating around 2 weeks in, maybe. So maybe they don't have to turn and then immediately, like the next day.
It was immediate, but I could be wrong.
I don't know.
Yeah, and it could be an inconsistency in the series too. That does, happen. Especially like things that are set up in the first book sometimes drift along a little bit.
Well, it's that whole, just how they want you to do with TV and movies. They want, suspend disbelief and just believe what I'm telling you, and just go with it.
They're vampires. You don't have to have everything down to an exact science.
I just feel like somebody like Gregor could make it that's ruthless, that wants that power. I mean, I guess in this particular case, it's not so much that she's a half-breed; it's that she can control fire. But like Ian wanted her because she was a half-breed. Everybody thinks she's special because she's a half-breed, right? So it just seems to me like they could arrange things to get their own half-breed.
Gregor's idea was half-baked because he didn't know how she got the fire. Little did she know she only got the fire because she drank Vlad's blood. So when Vlad's blood has circulated out, then the fire is gone. So she's going to have to do, so that was half-baked at best.
Well, he didn't know. So,
which is, I gotta say, that's a pretty cool tool to have. Like, if I need to do this, give me a couple ounces of your blood.
Yeah, I was like, I'll take some. It's like now that pot's legal, everybody goes after the very specific strains.
Yeah.
Like,
yes. So you can order your vampire blood
That's
with
right.
determination. Like, I want that.
Yeah. Hey, Coop, what's your special power again?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, right. You're not old enough to have one. Okay. No, never mind. Annette, what's your special power?
Right. That's crazy. But I wouldn't mind having Bones' ability. I mean,
yeah.
But then you just be able to read each other's minds.
Well, that's how she could fly. Right?
Yeah. And then I know, like, Bones is like very like, you can only drink my blood, and that is it. Okay, lady, that is it.
Did he ever say that? I don't remember.
No, but I feel like he feels it. I feel like he feels it in his gut. He's like
he has to drink from other people, right? Because he has to drink people.
He does, but that's what he was doing. He would drink somebody, and then she would drink him.
Right.
So, I mean, I can't imagine him unless vampires want to get in line to get bagged blood. He don't want Cat sucking on people. Come on now, he don't. Let's get it real.
You're right.
Especially
Probably.
Vlad. He does not want that life. He does not want it.
That is cool, though.
But anyway. I think that's really fun. So I think it's going to be cool to see going forward what happens with Kat and her mom because they're really
absolutely
now. Yeah.
Yep.
Like, again, somehow Janine Frost packs so much into these stories. Like, there's so much going on.
Yeah, never a dull moment.
But it doesn't seem overwhelming either. When you're reading it and in it, it doesn't feel like, oh, there's too much going on.
Right.
Not at all.
There was another foreshadowing in this book with Don, with Uncle Don.
Oh, yeah. But we're not going to talk about that because serious spoilers.
Okay. Well, but it's in this book. It's in this book.
He coughed, and nobody said anything else.
And Vlad said stuff. It was like, it was some serious, but it was not subtle.
What did Vlad say? I forgot. What did he
like,
say?
Isn't there something else you need to share with Vlad?
Oh, that's right. Like, what are you talking about?
Something that's going on with you that you might need to talk about.
That is funny. Well, we'll find that out probably next book. I'm guessing you're not going to hold on to that for so long.
Yeah, Don didn't have a big role in this book, so.
Well, no, he just gave her drugs that made her paranoid and depressed and moody and paranoid and
but
literally everything.
Not kidnappable. So got that going for it.
But did they know ahead of time? Because I feel like the side effects were revealed later.
They were revealed later.
Because
like, I feel like you could have told me that in the first place.
Right, because that could have also stopped Bones from being such an asshole a little bit, because he would have known that this drug is making her very paranoid already. You know what I'm saying? Everything is kind of heightened.
Is it paranoia when they're really out to get you, though? I mean,
I know, but it seemed like for a minute she wasn't really trusting Bones like that for a minute, and he felt it. He felt her not trusting him, and it was probably because of the drugs.
I was annoyed when she wouldn't let the wall down in that one scene where she wouldn't let him get behind her shields, and he asked her, and she wouldn't do it.
Oh, cat. That's unfortunate. I mean, you can marry the guy. You want to marry the guy in real life. I mean, like in the human real life.
Yeah, like you're basically married. You are married. You did the blood bond. You did everything. Like, You're wearing his ring.
Mm-hmm.
What more do you want?
Having dirty sex. I mean, why not? Why not? What's left? I don't know. I don't understand what your problem was. I don't know. She was feeling kind of wishy-washy about Gregor for a minute too, which I also again did not like. Yeah, I got problems with Kat in this book. Me and her, we got issues, but we worked it out in the end.
I'm glad you worked through it with her.
Yes, we're friends again.
She comes around.
Yeah.
You come around.
Yeah, I feel like if I knew her in real life, she's that friend that I would be constantly irritated with. Like, what the hell are you doing?
Yes.
You'd be the oh honey no friend.
Right. Like, like that's a bad choice right there. Let me tell you.
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
Right. Yep. But I still got your back, but I will call you out on your shenanigans.
That's right.
So
Yep.
Yes.
Do we want to talk about the ghoul threat and how that was kind of shown?
That was a little, I don't know, undeveloped to me. It was just kind of you have to worry about this too, but then you don't really have to worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were backing Gregor, so in that sense, like, it was just extra power for Gregor, even though he was already more powerful than Bones. But
which is weird, because they were only backing him because they thought that maybe Kat wanted to be also a ghoul.
Mm-hmm.
But that was obviously proven not true, and they still didn't really, I don't know.
I can't remember if Apollyon shows up in a future book. It seemed like they were setting him up.
Probably does.
He must. She went to some trouble to
introduce him
and make him, give him some description. Give him some description. Make him creepy. He's got a comb over.
Not the comb over.
Not the comb over.
So unfortunate.
Like, did your hair not rejuvenate when you got crop book?
I don't know.
I guess with ghouls they don't get any special healing power, do they?
I guess not. But
follicles don't heal.
Or maybe you just, however you look when you turn is how you look when you turn. Like you're stuck.
That's true.
That way.
That's true. Like Liza was young, youthful.
Which, by the way, is if I were to ever become a supernatural creature by some insane way, I mean, I think I passed my prime. So I'd have to go back 8 years before I can be turned.
8, you're cute.
Well,
Casey's right in the pocket right now. Casey's right in the pocket.
We're good. Let's do this.
Yes, I'd love to go back just 8 years, and then I'll be frozen like that. If I could be frozen like that, I'd be cool with it. But I guess I'd be cool with being frozen like this too. Let's keep it real. I look good.
Right. You do.
You look amazing.
Oh, thank you. But anyway. What else is going on in this book? Anything else we need to cover, guys? I
think we hit the high points. We didn't talk a lot about her being a vampire and making that decision, but
I mean, it didn't feel like a big decision for her in the grand scheme of things. Like, yes, she was kind of pushed towards it because everything that was going on. But when she actually sat down and thought about it, she was like, the only reason I haven't done it before is because I was scared. And that scare was based off of my irrational fear of vampires and them being evil. And that's thanks to my mother. So, I don't know. To me, like, it didn't feel like a big shift.
Almost anticlimactic.
Yeah.
It was like it was always written in the cards. It was going to happen eventually. It was just a matter of time and her getting over her own hang-ups still, which finally it seems like we can finally put that, storyline to bed about her being, because she is one. So you can't keep hating vampires, and you are. So, well, I guess you can, but that would be pretty unfortunate. Yeah, I thought it was good. I thought, as always, Janine knows how to write a really fast-moving book. I get all the feels, all the emotions, and I love that. That's like, I think, my favorite part about this series is like I really get into it, and it's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
No argument from me. We're all here because we love the series.
Yeah. So I would love to hear from somebody who's new to this series. Happen to be, is this your first time reading? Do find me online and let me know what you think, because I would love to hear a fresh point of view.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's really amazing how these hold up. The only thing that feels a little dated is when they take phone calls. Like there's more there's landlines and there's cell phones, and they don't use. There was one point where Bones is like, call them on your cell because I want to keep this line free. Mm-hmm. I think that's the only thing that doesn't feel 100% contemporary.
But in that sense, vampires are so old, I don't feel like they'd want to give up landlines as quickly as we do today.
You mean like my dad?
Yeah, they're vampires. They're still getting used to technology and landlines and all this stuff. So I feel like they'd still, and even like the older ones who are centuries and thousands of years old, they'd still be wanting to like hold the phone rather than get on a cell phone. That's just me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that moment when she told Mankiras to talk more current. Shit's going down, yo.
I laughed out loud at that.
I did too. I don't remember the exact phrase, but oh my god, it was hilarious. It was like totally deadpan when he said it.
Yeah, I could just picture his face.
Yeah.
It's going down, yo.
Oh, here it is. The shit's gonna splatter, start bugging, yo. That's another thing he said. Yes. Not the yo.
Oh.
Start bugging.
Lord have mercy. I cannot. That's hilarious. I was just perusing through the quotes. Like, people pick the funniest quotes, I swear. I love it.
So this one thing kind of annoyed me, and it really shouldn't annoy me, but it does. But when they're in Paris and Kat's in the bathroom and that woman like walks up to her, she's like, oh, hey, I saw you 10 years ago and you're about to get married. And then they did the flashback and this woman literally sees her for 30 seconds.
I know.
Like,
that was unlikely.
Such a stretch.
Yeah.
I don't remember the people I met last week. Like, how are you supposed to remember a girl you met for 30 seconds 10 years ago?
Yeah, I agree. That was kind of a stretch.
Yeah.
Well, she was 15 and getting married off to a really powerful person with a ton of presence. So I could see how it might have made an impression on the
but to remember her that much, like 10 years. Oh, you're in the bathroom with me.
Yeah,
12 years.
Just like 12 years ago.
Well, I mean, probably the only thing that I can think of that would make her just remember her so starkly is probably her red hair. Like, you probably don't meet that many people with red hair like that.
That's true.
Maybe physically that. And then plus she was talking about how expensive the dresses were or something like that.
Yeah, they had a conversation about the dresses, I think. She's the one that said, does this orange dress look terrible on me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These French people would totally do that to me.
Mm-hmm. So maybe, I don't know.
It felt like too much of a stretch.
It was definitely a plot device, right?
Yeah.
But that was another scene where where Gregor like saw her talking to somebody else and got super controlling immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, that scene had at least a couple of different purposes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. In that sense, but I don't know. I would have deleted the bathroom scene with it. With them at the opera.
Yeah.
That scene altogether just reminded me of like something I had seen recently on Grey's Anatomy where there was this sex trafficking guy, like like standing over the shoulder of this woman who was there for treatment, and he wouldn't let her say anything. He kept trying to, and I'm like, that kind of thing just reminded me of him. I'm like, he's like kidnapped her. He's like a sex trafficker, basically. I'm like, he's just like a kidnapper trying to marry a child. And I just can't.
I've noticed, and maybe it was online, but I want to say it was actually, I spent a lot of time at the doctor's office in the last few months, right? And there was a thing in the restroom where you're giving a sample, and it had a poster like, if you write it in this color ink, then we will take you aside and talk to you all by yourself. And so I thought that was interesting, the way to handle it, because I think the medical community is becoming more and more aware of domestic abuse situations and trying to figure out ways to handle it.
And that's good. Safely. That's amazing.
Yeah. You know what? I'm sorry. I said Grace. I meant The Resident. So those that are listening, you might be like, what the hell is she talking about? I meant The Resident on Fox. That's the show. My bad.
I haven't watched Grey's Anatomy in years, so I was fine. Like, okay, that sounds like something they do.
Like, Kimber has no clue what the hell she's talking about, because that didn't happen. Like, wrong show.
I just finished watching Lucifer for the second time, so.
Which is a great show, by the way.
And they've announced, so we're waiting on season 5, but they've announced that there will also be a season 6. So
I'm excited, but now I'm scared, because I'm like, if they've already finished the show, you know what I mean? They tried to finish it for 5. Did they go back and refilm or rewrite 5 so it's a cliffhanger instead of a conclusion?
Oh, I don't think that they were done writing and filming yet.
Okay.
Right.
Well, I don't know. I heard that
only April
date coming. So.
Well, they dropped season 5. What was it? Not that long ago. Or season 4, I mean.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe
it's
November?
Coming up on a year. It hasn't been that. It wasn't that recently. Maybe it was the summer.
Season 4? No, I don't know. Now we're way off topic. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's okay.
We could do an episode on Lucifer sometime.
We could, because I love that show. Casey, do you watch? You don't watch?
I haven't watched it yet. I've seen the first 2 episodes. Maybe.
Discover the wonder that is the guy liner.
The guy liner? Okay. Okay.
The guy liner. Okay,
so pretty.
I guess we can go ahead and rate the thing, huh?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay,
so Destined for an Early Grave. Nicola, what would you rate that? I already know.
You're at maybe it was just where I was when I was reading it, but I felt like it. I had a hard time getting through parts of it. I'm going to go with a 4.
Oh no!
But probably me. It's probably me. But
I'm glad I didn't bet money. I would have lost.
And as always, this is relative within the series, right? So compared to like a normal book, this would totally be a 5. But within the series, I don't know, something just kind of dragged a little bit for me at this one.
Okay. How about you, Casey?
I'm right there with Nicola. 4 stars. Like it was good. It was intense, but like you, I wanted to smack Kat around and be like, honey, why? I know. Just kill Gregor immediately.
Have you learned
nothing? Kill him. Have you learned nothing? She even said like, oh, this might bite me in the ass someday, but I'm going to be nice. And I was like, no. Yeah, no, it's 4. It's really good, but it's 4 stars.
Okay. As I do, I always look at my old rating because I'm curious to see what I thought back then. My first rating was 5 stars. So I was like, okay. I must have been like on a high or something because I was like 5. But I'm kind of with you guys on a 4 now. It's
really good. But
yeah, all the things that we are accustomed to from Janine Frost, she delivers, right? All of those things check the boxes. But just something about it just wasn't a 5 for me this time.
I think she just makes the same mistakes for a 4th time. Yeah. And it's starting to get a little like
mistakes.
Come on.
Mm-hmm.
And at least she's being called out in a very slap in the face way from Bones. Like there are serious consequences to her actions Whereas before, she just kind of buried.
I don't totally feel like Bones is completely over it,
He shouldn't be.
I feel like he's still holding a little back at the end of this, Maybe we don't see enough after the big fight scene, but like leading
They need
up to
therapy. They need therapy. We need a vampire therapist just to sit them down.
And Lucifer has that, which is so awesome. He goes to a therapist.
He has a therapist and he still screws up.
Oh, yeah. It's so funny, though. I love her. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. It does help him, though. And it might help Cat and Bones. I'm just saying. It might.
There's got to be some vampire therapist somewhere, right? I mean, these vampires are all over the place.
No, and you think for being alive for centuries and, all that, somebody needs some kind of mental health help. Like,
right?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it's got to mess you up a bit. They can't be the only ones that are messed up by immortality.
Mm-hmm. True that.
I mean, if you want to plug a totally different, unrelated series, Cynthia St. Aubin has a series where she's a therapist for the paranormal. And she deals with a suicidal Easter bunny and gods and goddesses.
Oh.
And it's amazing. Cynthia St. Aubin. The first book is Unlovable. Yeah.
I read something from her leading up to your conference years ago, but
she's amazing. I love her so much. And I'm editing her books now, and I'm just like, Yeah. Total fangirl.
Okay, cool.
But anyway, unrelated.
So book 5 is This Side of the Grave, and we are on the downhill of this series. So we are finally over the hump. Book 4 was the top of the hill, and now we're on the downside. So we're going to see how this rodeo ends. We're in for some crazy times, I feel like. Still to come. So yeah, fun times. So I think that is it for today, guys. Do you have anything else?
Nope, that's it.
I think we covered it.
Okay, so thanks so much for joining us today, and we will catch you next month on the next 3 Bloggers, 1 Series. Take care, guys.
Bye.
If you enjoyed today's book chat episode and would like to show your support, there are a few things you can do. Head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave a positive 5-star review. You can follow me on Twitter at Shelf Addiction. Most importantly, you can share this podcast with friends and family that enjoy all things bookish, including author interviews. Thank you for listening, and until next time, happy reading.
At American University, we don't just hope for change, we create it. We don't just dream of a better world, we make it a reality. With a graduate degree from AU, you'll access expert faculty and connections throughout DC to develop skills and experience to turn your passion into purpose. And that purpose can make all the difference in your career. Discover the difference a degree makes at american.edu/grad school.